Hello, welcome everybody. Sorry, um, a minute or two late, getting a Pop-Tart out of the teeth. Those little sprinkles on the top of the strawberry and the cherry ones really get in there. Anyway, RPG with DBJ. You guys don't need to know about my oral hygiene. We are here to talk about Future Fridays, science fiction, future, even modern day technology in RPGs, and we're finishing out. We are going to finish out this series. The entire week we've been talking about Psionics, and we definitely have to talk about it here. Already in the chat, guys are bringing up Cyberpunk 2077, which is based off of the role-playing game Cyberpunk 2020, made by Mike Pondsmith, who surprisingly, I think we kind of look alike. Eclipse phase, all that kind of stuff. So let's start out with some examples, some definitions, some things like that. All right. One of two major aspects of the future is that we always think of advanced evolutionary methods like alien races, races that are alien cultures that are better than ours, that we make first contact with. For some reason, hey Vince, I have to send you a Pop-Tart. For some reason, always seem to have, or we expect that the far more intelligent they become, the more advanced they become, the more aware of their universe they become, that their mind begins to reach out past their body. And even in our own sci-fi literature and culture, whether it's movies or video games or novelizations or graphic novels or what have you, we feel that as we advance, that we will have a lack of need of our bodies, and our minds will become a significant tool. So I think that's just a trope. It's a wish. It's kind of like ancient man looking into the sky, looking at the birds and going, yeah, I'm going to be up there with you guys one day. We're going to fly. I think it's just raising the head to the heavens and feeling or dreaming or knowing that one day we could reach out, not with our hands, but our very thoughts, to uncover the universe. So that's just my armchair, like, well, why would we even have that? Like, why psionics? Why not like superpowers or like, shape changing? Like, why wouldn't we dream about those things? And I think it's just that we feel like we as a people, as a society, tend to be self-centered, not in a bad way, but that we like to center ourselves in the middle of the universe and then spread ourselves out, reach out beyond that. So I think that's where that comes from. And how we get there, of course, depends on the story. Sometimes it's like drugs. It could be natural evolution. It could be radiation that we've come in contact with while traveling through the stars. It could be meeting an alien race that wants to teach us that there's far more to the universe than just carrying around Gauss rifles and X-ray laser assault carbines or things like that. Dead Man Storyteller. Janny brings up Eclipse Phase, one of my favorite RPGs, where they mention that in the core book that psi is unexplainable, and in many ways, Eclipse Phase, in many ways, science fiction not science fiction. I'm sorry. Psionics in the future sometimes is considered like a black box, and in the sense that like radiation is for us today, we know that if we input things, there's an output, but we don't know what's going on inside the box, right? We know that this limited amount of knowledge we have, if we accentuate these particular things, whether it's through gene therapy, whether it's sticking you into a tube naked, filled with some kind of fluid, and we add in nanotech and electrical impulses plus a little bit of like psychological torture, and boom, out comes this person who has mental abilities that reach, able to control minds and cause, brain bleeds and things that we know what the outcome is, but we're uncertain how we get there. And in that sense, often those mental abilities are either come from an alien race that we ourselves don't understand, or they're given to us, and then there's usually something attached to it, some kind of psychological limitation, whether it's a growing insanity, of course, the typical nosebleeds, the uncontrollability of it, such as the classic 80s, mid 80s, like 88 maybe, Akira, maybe it's older than that. Anyway, in Akira or Akira, where these, the evil corporation is doing the experiments on the children and trying to uncover what happened to the original quote unquote nuclear attack that happened on Japan, which might not have been nuclear, might have been caused by a very powerful psychic and whatnot. And so there's always this problem with explaining exactly how it happened. They just know that if they stimulate something, it will happen. Yeah, Vincent even says, saying using more of your brain would be enough, even though it is bullshit. Yeah, because we all know that there's no such thing as like, I'm using 90% of my brain. We all use all of our brain. It's just we're not using all the neurons at the exact same time. But yes, the movie Lucy is a perfect example of like, of the growing, like, I'm using 10% of my brain, and then he measure like, here's 15%, here's 20%, and then things go on. And then of course you have your levels of psionics. So your low level psionics would be those individuals that live in our world today that are at the peak, what we consider to be like savants in a particular mental area. People who can look at a crowd and ask people random questions and memorize all their names and all their details. People who count cards, those who can, who have excellent accuracy when it comes to on the YouTube videos where they throw a ball and it bounces off a wall, or they shoot a hoop out of a helicopter or a plane or something, things like that. Vincent says, by the way, I have a weird idea where the idea of psionics comes from. For a long time, I had dreams where I was a telekinetic, and it was completely normal for me, to the point to where I woke up and I was confused that it did not work anymore. Maybe this happens to other people too. So it could be this thing. There's also the idea that we are all untapped fonts of power, that it only takes flipping a switch to allow us to have it. And the one that takes it the farthest would be Star Wars, where it's become a mantra, a religion of sorts, where there's although everyone calls it the Force and it's outside the body and it moves through everything, about whatever, it's psionics, right? It's mind controls, telekinesis. It's the movies don't expound upon it as much as the Legends books do, but it is very much psionic. Star Trek absolutely goes. Yeah, Star Trek goes way far with this too, as Vince says. As far as having in mega intelligences that are able to do everything, including shape reality, or attack a starship and make everyone pass out, and opening up wormholes with their minds and things like that, literally removing people out of reality into some kind of like pseudo quantum realm or something. So yeah, so let's get back into the nitty gritty of psionics in the future. I contend there is another place psionics will come from. Vincent says in Voyager, a psionic could transport a starship light years in seconds. Yep, exactly. The Q continuum, exactly. Those massive intelligences um, are part and parcel of the psionic theme, and also it makes it a great way to go from, like, hey, we have speculative fiction. What if? And then you just have this what if, and then boom, you're well, we're just going to explain it with psionics, right? What if humanity was judged by an alien race that didn't understand our moral values? What would happen? What if you were trapped in a time loop and you couldn't get out until you solved it? What if exactly? Stargate, you had psionics. In the game Prey. So yeah, everything about psionics seems to be usually just as in medieval settings. It's magic is like 99% psionics, 1%. In future settings, it's always like psionics 99%, magic 1%, right? You don't very much see space wizards, and I mean classic space wizards, like books and spells and incantations and things like that. Alex even says a lot of ifs, and that's what speculative, fiction is, right? It's like, well, what if, and then we just as post-apocalyptic settings, what if society fell? How would we react? What if aliens invaded Earth? What if aliens came to Earth and we tried to befriend them? And Mass Effect, I can't remember the name. I was going to bring that up too, but I don't remember what they called it. But I will say that there's another place psionics will come from, and I believe that we literally today in real life may reach it faster than the flip the switch and I have telekinesis and telepathy. And I'll say, Alex beat me to it. Kind of cybernetics and bionics and implants, and I believe AI and technology will actually get us to the level of psionics. Now, we probably won't call it that because it'll be far more organic. But I would suggest to you that technokinesis is quickly approaching, and that's where our minds and technology begin to merge to the point where there isn't a difference between using technology and talking into someone's mind, using technology and manipulating physical objects. For example, how far would it be when the human brain and AI is mapped out to the point where the human brain can be hacked, where it can be manipulated, where we can go in and delete memories, add in memories, map your thoughts and will. Using our minds to control the technology around us with not even necessarily nanotechnology, but for example, we use our cell phones, and slowly and surely everything around us is becoming smart, right? Bluetooth enabled. I control my TV, my lights, my computer. And when that becomes so ubiquitous that it's in every object we buy, and then the cell phone ends up becoming a grain of rice that's implanted in the back of our heads, then you could control the lights with your thoughts. You could find out what's going wrong with your car with your thoughts. Turn on the heat and air conditioning in your apartment or something. Go into a store, and just by entering the store, you have all the information you ever want projected in front of your retina without having to look around the store for what it is. Order things online with your mind, that kind of stuff. So eventually, although it is not exactly the same, I could see technology as it gets smaller and cheaper and more internalized, that we will become essentially psionic. We could talk to people in our minds, and hackers would be the next version of having mind control, especially if they could edit or delete images that you see or hear as you're walking down the street. You know what I mean? Like someone could turn invisible by turning off your reception of their presence, which would simply be like mind using mental abilities to wipe your mind of their presence. But Vincent talks about Astrocytus. I did make a distinction between tech and psionics because they both could create similar effects. The only real difference in the spaceships, they're called meld mines. Alex C says, till it blows a fuse. Don't want a fuse to go pop in my head. I'm sure by the time it becomes implantable, there won't be too many deaths. You might be one of the random ones though, but I could see that the failure rate would have to be way low before people really start doing that on a large scale. Yeah, imagine like the data jack in Shadowrun. Yeah, the interface jacks. Cyberpunk's always had that with the cable. You plug the cable into your temple or into a wrist mount or in the back of your head, and then you plug it into something, and then you can use it. Yeah, imagine that combined with a weapon that can float with small rotors or magnetic manipulation. It would seem like Psionics, absolutely. There's upsides and downsides, of course, similar to a real life Matrix or Ghost in the Shell. Exactly. So where astral projection and virtual reality or augmented reality are depending on the fidelity, depending on the how much HD 4K there is in virtual reality, it might just be like astral projection, right? So yeah, spinal cables in the back of the neck. The other day, RP Gamer PM'd me and he was like, what are you going to talk about tomorrow? And I was like, dude, I don't know. I'll find out when I get there. And he's like, well, virtual reality and augmented reality would kind of be like parallels to psionics. And I think so as well, that it's either Isaac Asimov or Arthur C. Clarke said, any sufficiently advanced technology would be indistinguishable from magic. And given enough technological forward movement, that I believe there wouldn't be a difference between technology and psionics. It would just be a thing. Yeah, Clark, thank you. Tesla Ranger says, Arthur C. Clarke, who said that. And given nanotechnology, where this mechanical pencil, I could just think about it and it becomes a spoon or a wrench or a lighter or a knife or something, and just using my brain to alter the nanotechnology would just be like the mind being able to shape things, shape the very molecules of something in a quote unquote classic non-technological thing. Okay, so we've got some examples. We got a ton of places we can pull from. We went to Mass Effects, Ghost in the Shell, Cyberpunk 2020 and 2077. We went all around the world. Star Trek, Star Wars. But how are we going to use it? So in some RPGs, video games, et cetera, psionics tends to fall into two categories. It's usually rare and held in the hands of a few, or it is extremely widespread and it's just part of normal everyday life. Usually you don't get something that sits right in the middle. Usually it's like rare and a select few individuals have it, or an entire society has been shaped around the idea that very few people speak. They all talk telepathically or something like that. Vince says in Numenera, a lot of abilities that seem psionic are actually just nanomachines. In this world, nanites are virtually everywhere. The whole air is filled with them, and a nano can manipulate them. It's called, what's the dust in the world? Not grit. Oh, there's a name for the ninth world in Numenera, the RPG, where it's literally dust that's in the ground. It's in the air. It's like covers the ground, and it's literally nanites that are just not unstable, but they are dormant. And the character class, the nano, has the ability to take things and then use that dusty, grittish I don't know. I'm assuming it's gray, but it's probably brown. I guess we wouldn't know what it's called. To manipulate. Anyway, to have certain special effects and such. Yes, there's. I think with the rare psionics, you tend not to have society manipulated, but people will have their opinions. Factions, governments, corporations, individuals, planetary systems will have their opinions on how they handle psionics in a world where most people do not have it. Usually it's not very much where it's, I mean, you can have your storylines where the evil corp has manipulated people and broken their minds. For example, like Firestarter, where they were doing modern day, they were just using drugs and things to enhance people to try to coax out their mental abilities. And of course, many of them died. The ones that lived, most of them went crazy, and then you got a few that were just awakened. But considering that, you know, the psionicists that are on the run and being hunted by the evil government, there's also the idea that the general public knows these people exist. For example, in Eclipse Phase, there's the Lost, and in the Lost, there was the idea of using the exergent virus. And for those who don't know, Eclipse Phase is dark horror, transhumanism future in our own solar system, and they used experiments to try to fast grow people's minds and bodies. And something went wrong, and they became known as the Lost. All of them are insane, and they also have psionic abilities. So yeah, that's it. Dead Man the Storyteller says like astropaths from 40K, Warhammer 40K, which I'm not familiar with them. Really normal. Kineticists, telepaths are the most common, while the seer, egoists, and nomads are a lot more rare. And I'm presuming you're talking about 40K, but you're talking in general as well. Vince says you could also imagine someone with limited future sight sonics to scout out potentially interesting places to go where they are needed for FTL travel. I've heard of the FTL travel version where only a limited number of people, it was almost like psionic piloting, that they're able to navigate through like quantum pathways or wormholes or something of that nature. Also, we tend to think of sonics not having a limit on its range. You know, using their minds to reach out light years in real time to an event that has happened 30,000 light years away or in the future, in the past, and not being limited by the physical realities of time dilation and passing through solid objects and expanding through the void of space and such. Vince says, I'm currently writing a murder mystery dinner in a sci-fi setting, and one of the characters is a telepath that is used on the ship for fast communication because comms would take too long. Yeah, I read a series by C.S. Friedman where there was a mathematical limit to how light and fast you could make starships, like fighters. And this one group they were at war with another group, and their starships were far faster than mathematically possible. And come to find out that they didn't have communicators in their ships, because there was a weight limit and communication limit as well. And so they took out the communication systems because the pilots were able to use a network of telepathic communication to allow them to overcome this mathematical limit. And that gave them an advantage. And also because they were telepaths, they could predict actions and things like that. Alex says, Circlensians, egoists are psychometabolism. Nomads are have psychoportation. Yeah, usually like Alex C is talking about, where we normally see the two big ones, right? Telekinetic ability, being able to move solid objects, and telepathy, talking in people's minds. But the clairsentient, the clairvoyant, the person that can reach out past their body, not just naturally, not astral projections so much, although that is included in it, but like being able to see things beyond themselves, whether through time or space, or being able to view a whole society and pick up pieces from it, is usually rarer. It tends to be either vague warnings with the, oh, my head hurts, I've gotten something terrible has happened, and that's about it. It usually doesn't get so specific as being able to say, go down like a dark sewers or into a building and fly around the building, or being able to like to intercept sounds and images in the other room from, you know, the evil corporation people and their hired hitmen talking or something of that nature. Also, being able to manipulate your mind over body, right? We know of people, dedicated martial artists that are able to, and others who are able to, what's his name? David Blaine, able to use your mind over body, whether it's endurance or breaking things with hard body techniques, ignoring pain, going into suspended animation, and then doing things even beyond that, increasing or decreasing your metabolism, to heal, to process all the foods in your body, to activate your adrenal systems, things like that. That's very rare. Psychoportation would be like teleportation, transporting your body, maybe, or other objects through time and space. In that game I talked about, Trinity, they had vitakinesis, which was like a healing, metabolic healing. Of course, pyrokinetics, cryokinetics, electrokinetics, photokinetic individuals, things like that. Vincent says, what if something like a sensors from Star Trek would never work over long distances? Probably because, I mean, there might be a substitute where psionics might be better, because Diana Troy on in Star Trek was a psionicist of sorts. She had empathic abilities, and while that may not seem as powerful as the classic mind prober that grabs on their head and like digs deep into their brain to uncover secrets, an empath is very important too. An empath can have the ability to say the right things, do the right things, feel what's going on with somebody else, find a person's limitations, even if they are like a violent adversary, and calm them down to avoid situations. Empathic only senses emotions, but that ability is still very powerful. And also, it can be based on your role playing setting, right? Do you want like powerful size, or do you just want lower size, right? Do you want psionicists that are lower in their capabilities, therefore having far more reliability on physical skills and traits, running, jumping, shooting, fighting, computer hacking, where they're able to enhance it just a little bit with psionics? Or do you want them to be Chronicle like, where they're lifting cars or crushing starships, or things like that, like just pulling satellites out the sky or something? That's going to be based on your own role-playing setting as well. And many times, like when you have the rare psionicists, especially the really powerful ones, you can have Tesla Ranger says telenetics that can move coins or cars, and that's really going to dictate how your setting is going to go. If it's minor, moving coins, making a dollar bill look like a $20 bill, making a simple plastic card look like an actual ID, using your telekinesis to lift an ink pen or flip a switch, that's not going to have a huge impact. That sounds more like the player characters are the stars of the show, right? They're the special agents. The Sixth Sense is a perfectly good example. there's some other things I'm trying to think of that it's like on the periphery of my thoughts. But in that sense, those are just little nuggets of flavor. And the PCs might be hunting after other individuals that have those. They're like psi slights as opposed to psionicists. And that may be a point in which you can have these special abilities, which aren't world shattering, right? It's the idea of like an eclipse phase. You can like separate your brain into multiple personalities so that each personality can be doing something while one person is doing something else. Like you're in a gunfight, but your other part of your brain is trying to break the code on a door that's shut or something. That kind of thing. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. versus the rest of the MCU. Exactly. You're just the lower agents. You're the yeah, that was from Tesla Ranger. Like you're the basic, you're the grunts. You're just better than regular people, but you could easily be overpowered by, 4 or more no-named, guardsmen or something coming after you, hunters or assassins or something. Vince says, in a campaign for Stars Without Number, one character got a special kind of psionic power by going outside the ship while in hyperspeed, which is supposed to be suicide, but he survived barely. The accident versus the purpose-built psionicist is a big trope too, right? It's the I accidentally got psionic powers because I looked into the heart of a black hole, or I got psionic powers by accident with this mix of this new drug. The show Limitless, the movie and show Limitless is a perfect example of the Lucy style, 100% brain psionicist, where it's not really, it hasn't gotten to the point of reaching outside the body, but it's just about there. It's the figuring out mathematical things. It's flipping through a book and remembering everything. It's the tumbling of the locks and being able to hear the locks as they move. It's the social psionicist, the person that can what's the show? Lie to Me, where a person can read someone's mind, but it's through asking them questions, the biting of the nails, the looking around when they're asked a question, the sweat that starts to pour down their eye, the dilating pupils, looking at the temperature, their cheeks begin to get red. They can see the throbbing of their heart, and in the veins in their neck or something, the pulse in their neck. It's like the social psionicist would be powerful as well, to know that the person they're trying to seduce, if they just push it too much, they're going to lose that person, so they pull back a little bit. It's the sitting in the boardroom trying to get a deal made and looking around and looking at each person and going, hey, this person wants the deal to go through. This person's really against me. It's being able to figure that out. And something scary. Oh, Alex C says, like someone was tortured and went mad and their mind opened up due to madness, due to the pain, which is another thing too. The tortured soul that awakens is in a very popular trope as well, where the mind is broken, but then it breaks, and then it goes beyond the breaking point to uncover or attach to something else. Also, there's the idea of AI having psionics, and follow me on this. Memetics is like memes. We have memes today, right? It's the passing of information virally with the least amount of work, right? But it has a thought to it. It establishes a meme establishes a viral mental, not acuity, like a mental signal to each person. And the study of memetics is the idea of passing along a viral idea, an idea that literally goes into your brain, and then that person wants to spread that idea and can change people's thoughts. So um, an AI that is specifically designed to be a memetic machine can establish sounds and images that could, quote unquote, mind control people to act in a way it wants to, based on a person's memories and thoughts and desires. So, for example, Amazon and Google are using memetics to quote unquote control us by giving us ads for things that we might like based on the things that we searched for, right? And then eventually that search parameter will click, and it's like, oh, you know what? I was really thinking about sneakers, or I was thinking about, this upgrade to my computer, or I was thinking about this other RPG. And based on your past history, now they've been able to guide you to where you go. But imagine in a future where a certain sound wave, a certain type of fashion or whatever is able to manipulate people, and that in itself becomes a computerized version of psionics. Wild cards, damn, brought back wild cards. I think I've got like 15 wild cards books. Anyway, in wild cards, the wild card virus gave everyone the chance for power, though very, very small. Most people died outright. I think it was like a 90% chance or something. Some got powers, and it cost at a cost, and the 1% looked normal but got superpowers. And it was the wild card virus. 90% died and pulled the Black Queen. 9% pulled the Joker card, where they were changed but mutated, and 1% became aces. And Jokers, the 90% that died from it, they were affected by the wildcard virus, which was actually a virus intended to give people, another alien race, enhanced mental powers. Was that whatever was subconscious in their brain, they died that way. If they were afraid of being insignificant, they shrunk until they were nothing. If they were afraid of being one lady was afraid of being exposed, that people would see her for who she was, and her skin turned invisible, so she just looked like she was a woman with like muscular. You could just see her muscular structure. There's a term to cut off your nose to spite your face, and a guy who survived was a Joker, and a big giant hand grew out of his nose, like an elephant's hand or something. It was very strange. Did Call of Cthulhu? Couldn't you get powers of Call of Cthulhu in similar ways? I guess due to having insanity. Vince said that, and I would absolutely put it that way. If Cthulhu rose and dominated the world, because I kind of had a setting based on this, like Cthulhu and all of its agents and everything rose from the sea, driving people mad. The end result was some people were driven so mad that they got mental abilities. So characters were like in a post-apocalyptic world where Cthulhu was a real thing and going around and stuff and dodging mind flayers and beholders ish, aboleth ish creatures in the world, in a post-apocalyptic world where they also had psionic powers. I think that'd be a great setting. A Dead Man, the storyteller, says Asimov had something similar in the Foundation series, which I've never read, but I can absolutely agree that Asimov would have something of that nature. Baron Cantrell says, what was cool is all the authors involved have backgrounds in science, explain things as TK and pseudoparticles. And, you talk about wild cards, and wild cards, it was very much, this is weird to say, grounded in reality, but how the people, the Jokers and the Aces got their abilities through, because it affected their subconscious rather than their conscious mind. Like the Great and Powerful Turtle. He was a slightly chubby, very, very insecure individual. But once he hid his identity by hiding inside of eventually what was an armored VW bug, and then he made this armored shell, he had extremely powerful telekinetic abilities, right? I love the wild card series. Great stuff. Tesla Ranger says a meme, an element of a culture. This Tesla Ranger put in the chat what the definition of meme. And it's an element of a culture or system of behavior that may be considered to be passed from one individual to another by non-genetic means, especially imitation. And in eclipse phase, there's the study known as memetics, which takes memes to the point where there are even memetic assassins that are able to artificially instill a thought, a series of behaviors that makes people act in ways that they've designed them to act. Political ads are exactly created this way, right? They present the world in a way, and it doesn't matter what, I'm not talking politics, I'm talking about the advertising of politics is designed to elicit a reaction from you to get you to act in a particular way. Hey, we're gonna show you images that are, modulated. We're gonna show the opponent grayscaled and kind of dark. We're going to show you ads that are like flashed on with like red in the background or something. We're going to have music that's dun, 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 like very dark and ominous to get you to agree to our side and disagree with the other side, and present the facts in a way that's manipulated so that absolute propaganda. Hey, the RP, absolute propaganda, but not just propaganda. And yes, propaganda today. I'm talking about manipulating it even further by using sounds and images and maybe even smells and things to almost turn you zombie-like, simply because it is a sound that appeals, or an image, or a collection of those images that gets you to appeal to what they want. And taken to the extreme, in eclipse phase, and I'm sure this has been in movies and such, where you have a basilisk hack. So you have a computer program that flashes enough information that bypasses your conscious mind, that kind of goes into your subconscious mind, and then changes your neural pathways to turn you, to hypnotize you, to make you do something. We've seen plenty of movies where the starship crew is all together, and one by one they begin getting manipulated mentally by something. And you could even have nanotechnology that goes into people's brains. And it seems like I'm not talking about psionics, but what I'm saying is that there could be psionic divergencies. So in your setting, telekinesis may not exist, but a form of mind control might. So I talked enough about that. Let's get back into the fantastical. Let's get back into like the Star Wars version of the telekinetic punches, the telekinetic backflips in flight, the deflecting laser blast with your hands, twisting truths and manipulating reality. Exactly. Very dangerous if we start having the nanotech implants of computers, and someone is able to manipulate the digital information we are receiving through augmented reality. What is it? There's an episode of Black Mirror where every soldier was implanted with an augmented reality system that made them excellent soldiers, and it also overlaid the enemy forces as being like undead zombies, right? And you want to kill these undead zombies, but all they really did is just make you see them as less than human, even though they were killing women and children while they were doing it, right? So you could have soldiers that think of, are manipulated, where they think the PCs are the enemies. They think they are these biological zombies or something, and the PCs have to figure out a way to not be seen that way because of the programming. RP Gamer says propaganda done this way could be made personal. Instead of a family being mistreated, you see your family being mistreated, and that's where a memetic really is like can get in, because you could send out a program that personalizes each and every interaction to elicit the exact reaction we want from you, right? So seeing Black Mirror messed me. Black Mirror is a wild anthology series show. Anybody All you guys are brilliant. If you haven't seen it, go check out Netflix or whatever series it's running on in your area. We're here in the States, it's on Netflix. So it probably Netflix around the world, but definitely kill or be killed mentality. Exactly. Especially if you're able to manipulate the other person, right? So let's say you have a crowded mall and you want to turn all those people in a crowded mall murderous. All you need to do is find out what's the trigger that'll make you commit murder. And if someone sees you as the person who killed their family, they're going to go after you. Now, convincing each person that you're not that individual might be difficult, but there are many things that could turn people murderous. And all you need to do is find that trigger, no matter what people say. Oh, I'm a nice person. I'm like, no. You could be given the right circumstances. You could turn into a murdering rampage based on the threats that are around you. You know what I mean? Based on the information someone gives you. Yeah, that's pretty nasty. An enemy could reprogram this to show the allies as the enemy. Absolutely. There could be, you could make allies or enemies disappear from someone's vision. You could make them look and sound and act exactly like the person they think they're going to kill. So they start killing each other. There's all kinds of manipulations you could do technologically in game and make them represent psionic powers. So, instead of it being called hypnosis, it's like, techno-augmentation or something like that. But even with psionic abilities in the future, as some, especially when they're rare, like say Star Wars. In Star Wars, you have the Jedi and the Sith, and the general public knows who they are, kind of based on whatever time period you're talking about, knows who they are. Some people respect them, others hate them. Others want them killed and they don't want them around. There are people who are suspicious of them. There are people who are fanboys. They want to be like them without putting in the work, right? There are others who support them in their causes. Hey, we're going to take care of your temples and such. There are those who want to study them. Hey, I want to study the dark arts too. Why can't we study the dark arts? You keep telling me it's dangerous, but I don't see anything wrong with it. So yeah, absolutely. Baron Cantrell says, super glad I managed to sneak in to the live stream this morning. You guys are a well of inspiration. I'll check out the vid on my commute. Thanks again, DBJ. You're very welcome. Anytime, man. If someone gives me, shoots me an idea and it grabs a hold, I like this idea of using the week to explore one theme. Because I did overgrowth last week, Psionics this week. We're going to do, one of you guys will end up sending me something on purpose or accident that will spark something that I think makes for an excellent theme throughout the week. And of course, if we get to talk through it throughout the week, it helps me out because I'm Mr. Rambly. We can excise all the knowledge out by the end of the week and go, woo, I guess the live stream's only 5 minutes because we have nothing to talk about. But anyway, for those where psionics is rare, you have a benefit and a drawback. The benefit is the characters get the spotlight, right? They're the Jedi, whether they're Padawans or beginning Sith or whatever, it doesn't matter. They're the spotlight. Everyone else doesn't have those abilities. They become the center of the story. Awesome. The limitation, the limitation for the game master is balancing those powers against everyone else. If someone has a psychic blast and no one is able to deal with it, that could make them far too powerful. Alex C's responding, says even if they like it or not, responding to the fact that doing these live streams is sticking on a single point. Yeah, I'm assuming that I'm taking it that way, and you're absolutely right. Yeah, I get to talk about whatever the hell I want, and you guys just have to deal with it. Let me fold my arms and pout. So there could be this idea that, like, are the psionic powers so good that your average person can't deal with them, or are they enough of a does it take enough pressure to use them that whether there's like psychic backlash, it's very exhaustive, it's very difficult to use on the average citizen, so that there is a level of challenge in your setting. Scott posted, made me think of psychic generators that can create the illusion of a much nicer place overlaying the rundown actual place they're in, which was actually used in Black Mirror, right? You could pacify. Why would you need to physically represent a great living condition if you could mentally create great living conditions, right? If the population can go into a virtual reality in their brain, if the population, you can overlay a dirty neighborhood by making it look pristine with butterflies and flowers and it's sunshiny all the time, and they don't feel, you could turn on and off pain receptors so they don't feel hungry, they don't feel the rain pouring down on them, they don't smell the urine in the corners. To physically make it, you just need to power up the VR generators and you have yourself a slave society. Jenny says the drawback is that everyone wants them, and if they can't have you, then nobody should. And so that's the other thing about being a rare psychic, a psionicist or mentalist or whatever, is that you're going to have hunters after you. You're going to have the jealous who want you to dissect you, to recruit you, to have you under their sway, to eliminate you because if you're not for them, you're against them. That makes you a threat. You're going to have like Psi-Cops who are going after you to try to kill you. There's all kinds of things. And just like we talked about speculative fiction before, Minority Report, they used psychics to predict the future, to had pre-crime. And pre-crime, you could get arrested for a crime you are about to commit. And the PCs could be either pre-crime agents, or they could be on the run from pre-crime because there's a prediction that they're going to commit some kind of crime. There's evidence of it. And the PCs now are running from their own destiny in many ways. Alex, he says, destroy something that you don't understand or can't have. And of course, that's the whole theme of X-Men, right? It's I don't understand them, I'm going to kill it. It's matter of fact, that's a mob mentality, right? We don't understand those people over there. I think we should kill them. It's I don't understand what a snake is. Let's kill it. I don't understand what a spider is. It's that primal fear that we have of the fear of the unknown. And that fear is embarrassing, which turns to anger, and being angry, eliciting that reaction from us angrily makes us vengeful against the thing that would dare to make me feel something I didn't want to feel in the first place. Human nature, right? It's just, I don't understand that. I think I'm going to kill it. So we brought up before about in world building about a perfect society of empaths, but the drawback also to having psychic powers is that you are aware of things other people may not be. You can do things other people may not, and there's a kind of responsibility in that too. If you can feel other people's pain, you may. If you are an empath, you are not just blessed, you're cursed, because maybe you can never rest because you're always feeling other people's pain, and you know that it's a daunting task to remove the pain of reality from other people's lives, right? There's always going to be that next person that's in pain, feeling like they're suffering from something, that wants something they could never have. And although you're like, hey, I'm normally at peace. I'm eating a cheesesteak and I've got my fresh cut fries on the side, and I'm just happy going along. Sorry, I was a Philly native, so I'm eating my meal, and then 15 people pass by with all their their stresses about bills and family, and and then you get slammed by that person that went to war and came back, and you're feeling all that residual PTSD from them, and you're just like, oh my God, like, can I handle it? I can't. I didn't even go through it, and I got to pick up their feelings, man. And so that could drive a person insane by feeling those things. Just as in X-Men Days of Future Past, the young Professor Charles Xavier he was taking drugs. It was like a parody of sorts of heroin, but he was taking the drug to eliminate his psionic abilities. And he said, it's not me being able to use my abilities. It's the fact that they're always on and I can read everyone's mind, and controlling that, keeping everybody out of your brain. So if you're a powerful enough telepath and you're always reading people's minds, it can become overwhelming. And maybe psychic abilities like TK is uncontrollable and it just shakes everything, like the show Legion, where the minute you go crazy, it just like shatters everything around you. Empathically, you are emotionally unstable because of the emotions you pick up around you, and that could be a limiting factor on those who are very powerful telepaths in the future. Also, those people who hunt down telepaths, they're going to have the infantry combat armor with the helmets that have a lattice inside that prevent them from being mind read. They're going to have guns that shoot out neural electrical impulses that'll take you out and shut your brainstem down. There may be even little like discs that you can slap onto somebody. You slap it on the back of their neck or onto their arm, and it deadens everything from the signal down. You can have in the book series Ringworld, there was an alien race, the puppeteers. Long story short, the puppeteers were extremely paranoid and pacifists, and they had guns that shot a signal that excited your pleasure center, because they didn't want dangerous weapons. So when it activated your pleasure center, you wanted to be hit by the ray gun because it sent out a signal. And of course, the more and more your pleasure center was activated, the more you became addicted to it, the more you would do what they told you to do to get another fix of being hit on a pleasure center. Alex C says, learn to shut it away or suffer. That's a very common limitation on psionicis, right? You got to shut it out or it's overwhelming. It's if you don't learn to control it, it becomes out of control at a moment's notice, which means it'll be very difficult for you to hide in society. It could be that your mind could be tracked by hunters, and maybe there's a wavelength, or maybe just the physical evidence of you destroying things or affecting people's minds as they come to hunt you down through different space habs and things, which makes me think you might be a hazard on space stations too. They may not want you on space stations with high population, small area, thin membrane to space. Not too good to have psionicis on a space station. Scott Post says such an empath would have maybe created some coping mechanisms for themselves, whether it's taking drugs. Yeah, Jumpers is a perfect example of that too, where the movie Jumpers, the movie Push, is it Scanners? It's another one. And we talked about this before. Misfits, not the 100. I Am Number 4. All those things where you have alien races. Jumpers is a perfect example of the I'm learning to use my abilities, or in a panic situation, I always jump back to where I came from, a place of comfort or strong memories or something. Yeah, absolutely. And so you could instill that, even psychic backlash. I'm trying to read that person's mind, but I ended up touching something that was too horrible and it backlashed into me. Those could be limitations. So if you want to add Psionics into your sci-fi setting, so it kind of layers along with like gunmen and such. And of course, if you have a point buy system, you don't have as many. You got to spend some of those points on those mental abilities. So the person who's the bounty hunter, the assassin, the pilot, the the gunman can spend more points on their martial arts abilities, their intimidation skills, their sniper skills, and then the person with the psionics, of course, has to spend those points on that and such. Alex says the people that can travel with a single thought that's constantly hunted down. Yet the paladins that were hunting down the jumpers because for pseudo-religious reasons, because they thought they were better than humanity and therefore better than God, because they could go where they wanted, take what they wanted without any repercussions. The power of jumping, even the power of having those, even let's say this world that we have of mental abilities in the future, maybe people have gotten to the point where they are trying to ban or outlaw the activation of psionic abilities because it's power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. There's maybe a tendency more often than not that a person with psionic abilities becomes evil. They become immoral. They become. Can you imagine standing in a long line of people who are slow and annoying when you have the mental ability to get them to all go away? Absolutely, positively, take a look at the Purple Man. Kill Raven, Kilgore, kill whatever. Jessica Jones and the Purple Man. They never call him the Purple Man in the show, but the Purple Man is a perfect example of the guy who has mind control pheromones. And what's insidious about his ability was that when he affected you with his pheromones, you wanted to do what he told you to do. And you kill Grave. Jeez. Thank you, Dead Man. Yes, his name was Kilgrave. And after he left your presence, you only remembered having a willingness to do what he did, and no one understood the residual effect that there was an outside force affecting them, which was pretty. Zebediah Kilgrave. I love those names. I'd never remembered his first name was Zebediah. I was like, kill something. Kilgrave. Yeah. Great bad guy, great villain. People are up and down on the Jessica Jones series, but the bad guy, oh man, Kilgrave is a great bad guy, and especially shows you the horrors of someone who has like short-term hypnosis, where it's just crazy. He's in New York and he just wants a cab. He doesn't even have to own a car. He just tells this random guy, I need a ride. The man's driving his car with his son. The son's arguing in the back seat. So Kilgrave tells him, leave your kid on the corner. He drives Kilgrave around. And when Kilgrave leaves, the man is traumatized because he doesn't understand why he would even leave his child on the curb. Like, why would he want to do that? And with this random stranger, it's kind of crazy. Janie says, or you might become a vigilante, identifying all those murderers, etc., and knowing that the cops will never get them. I'm making that character right now. Give me some dice. Yeah, it makes perfect sense, right? You become you're able to grab the murder weapon and know what happens. You can go to the murder scene. You can read the minds of the murderers in the room and know their murderous intentions, and no one seems to be able to do anything about them. Maybe there's no evidence. Maybe the police know that they did it and there's no one can touch them, and all you're doing is reliving their murders over and over again, and they're just laughing about it, even mentally laughing about it in their heads. Foolish Kiwi, man, early morning stream, huh? Glad I happened to check. I don't know if you want to check out my early morning streams, but I'm glad you're on this live stream. Whatever. Scatological humor. Anyway, glad I happened to check after being up all night. This would be a great way to wind down. Yeah. It seems you must be along there with Scott Poe, man, being up extremely early. Glad I could help. Alex C says, yeah, hunt those that's making those that are trying to do the right thing look bad. So there could be, you are the vigilantes hunting down killers with your psychic talents, able to pick up psychic residue to hunt down the killers, who they themselves might be psionists too. We don't know. And then there's a crew of psychic hunter. I mean, like psi cops or a militant force that's hunting you down to stop you, because you are the you're the I was about to say the X gene. You're the unknown quantity. You are the danger. It's our job to hunt down the murderers, whether they get away or not, because hey, this is logical society. Sometimes these things happen. But we need to stop you, because you are disrupting society with your psychic abilities, which to me sounds like an excellent triangle of conflict. And that's, conflict makes drama, drama makes great role-playing games. Sounds perfect. Also, with since we're talking about Future Friday, expanding this out into the greater universe, whether you want to go out way to like Alpha Centauri, you want to go to other star systems, you can have different cultures that have different opinions of psychic abilities. So you could have conclaves of like the martial artists that are training others to use their abilities for good. You could have the criminal organizations that are using developing drugs that can super high, super low, right? You inject the drug, it makes you a powerful psionicist, maybe far more powerful than the PCs, but your life expectancy is short, or the drug only lasts 10 minutes, or there's a pretty much a great chance that your brain will turn to sludge and leak out of your ears and nose if you don't get the drug that brings you down, or the antidote. There could be test tube terrors that are like bred in test tubes, whether they're humanoid or monstrous or something, that have these vast psychic abilities that are, maybe they're purchased and sold on the black market, or they are broken open, they're hidden away in conclaves, kind of like the alien creatures from the Alien movie series, where these things just breed to latch onto your face, to suck out your brain, to give these alien creatures great psychic powers for them to just do the whole thing all over again. And they're infesting the greater galaxy or something, and the players are like the bug hunters in your world. Or maybe they are off in the distance. And yeah, Alexi says, ow, overdose. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe these alien creatures are off in one corner. You have the Psi-Corp that's hunting down psionicists all across the greater galaxy. They're in another corner. You've got yourself your like your martial focused individuals, your Zen psionicists. There could be an evil cult that's like that considers itself to be reminiscent of like a satanic cult, and these psionic abilities, whether they're alien or technological or what have you, are just a natural development of it. Like, of course we can do whatever we want. That's our right to do whatever we want. The lower folk don't know us, and why should we care about the lesser people? They're the mundanes. They're the, who cares who they are and what they are and what they're about. We are the powerful people. Hey, our minds give us power. Our power gives us moral authority. Anything. Jenny thinks, I think xenomorphs are actually are actually psychics. I remember reading from Alien comic that they can see fear, and they never really did explain how they see. Like, and I'm just saying this from a visual thing. They don't have eyes. They kind of remind you of dolphins in the sense of like having a sensor like node on their foreheads, because that smooth roundness, and whether that means they sense motion, which makes a lot of sense, that they can sense emotion, and those who don't fear them are not sensed. Echolocation, absolutely. The absolutely panned movie that had a great idea in it was After Earth. And in After Earth, humanity goes to another planet they colonize, and there's these murderous alien creatures that when they sense your fear, they can hunt you down wherever you're at. And they sense you by pheromones because of the fear you give off. And there are these agents, these rangers, and Will Smith plays a ranger who he was able to turn off his emotional responses. And by turning off his emotional responses, he became invisible to these creatures. And that in itself may be a psionic ability, right? If you have these creatures running around a galaxy and they're infesting things and they're killing people by the fear, and of course, the minute they kill one person, the fear spreads, it makes more victims. You could have the anti-psionicists, the ones who are immune or resistant or invisible to psionic abilities by turning off their emotional things, turning almost into like a very logical minded individuals. But this gives them greater physical abilities, right? They don't have fear. They don't have doubts. They don't feel pain. Scott Post says, reference drugs. What about a telepath variant that broadcasts her high? Everyone around her is suddenly up like on amphetamines or quaaludes, or quelled by her depressions, or mellowed by, etc., like soldier or cops. Meaning, like, I misread that. Anyway, yeah. So Scott Poe's basically saying, like, imagine a telepath that projects their own mental state, but it's done through a drug-induced haze, right? So you could go be very mellowed out and be like, downer, depressed state, or very manic state with something, the cocaine, the heroin high, the meth high, the bath salt high. Although bath salt high, wanting to eat people's intestines, I don't know about that. Damn. That'd be nasty. Didn't they do that in I want to say it was either Fringe or 4400. I know I'm bringing up all these things. Anyway, in one of them there was someone who could project their own mental state onto other people. I think it was Fringe. Anyway, Alex says something like Daredevil. He sees by vibrations. And Foolish Kiwi says the Ursa in the aliens from After Earth. The Ursa, that's what they were called. I think that's a disrespect to bears. But anyway, yeah, I think we could use all the. I think all those things could be combined especially in a sci-fi setting, because you have a vast universe, but you could have small enclaves. So space stations, dome cities, underground cities, asteroid belt cities, hives with multiple asteroids connected by tubes, spindles and O'Neill cylinders, and alien worlds and planets, maybe connected by wormholes or the Pandora gates, like in Eclipse Phase, or even our own solar system, where people are living in the around Neptune, on Pluto, on the moons of Mars, on I don't know, somehow living on the planetary surface of Mercury and Venus. Like, you could have these conclaves where each place has their own method in how to deal with this issue. And Deadman says it was Fringe. Yeah, it was Fringe, where the person couldn't control themselves broadcasting their manic depressive state onto other people. Pretty nasty stuff. So anyway, we're of course, as usual, I'm going to always go past my hour limit, but but because I always do these streams before going to work in the morning, but didn't touch quite as much on the far future that I really wanted to, but of highly advanced technology could be bordering on the superhero-ish, nanotech suits that can cover your body and make you look like Silver Surfer or something, where Green Lantern is a perfect example of a psionicist, a psychic that can create physical objects using the power of a ring, which the Green Lantern core isn't magic, but it sure borders on it, right? It's technology taken to the point where it's indistinguishable from magic. You could have a core of people who scour the universe or flying nearly naked in the deepest spaces and reaches of the universe, flying from planet to planet, which I actually ran a game using Fate where people had something called a companion stone. Anyway, it was a whole moon. It was filled with crystals, and the entire moon was a crystalline structure from the alien culture, very advanced. And one small part of the crystal would combine with a human being, and it was a companion stone, and it would give them the ability to fly through space and stuff. And they were like space patrol, and they had fights where they would, knocked back, was getting punched or blasted, and you'd have re-entry and you'd fall into whatever. Doesn't matter. Long story short is very highly advanced technology cultures. You could use maybe a superhero system instead of using a science fiction system, and use that to do the more gonzo elements of manipulating gravity, manipulating time and space, things like that. So anyway, guys, I am running down a little bit. Wanted to talk about Psionics from Monday all the way through till today. Thanks, Baron. Thanks, everybody. Deadman for showing up. Scott, Alex, Janny, everybody in RP Gamer, thanks for being here. Vince, always with the great ideas as well, keeping me on my toes and keeping me focused somewhat. I like to resist that a little bit. Foolish Kiwi for allowing me to put you to sleep with my voice. I am that type to lull you into unconsciousness with the dulcet tones of my ramblings. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for joining me. As always, demi-daily deep dives with myself on any number of subjects. We'll come up with something Monday. I'm sure there will be something. Somebody will shoot me something or say something. I'll probably even look back through the chat and find something in there that someone said. Have a good day at work. Man, thanks a lot, dude. I know you just got off work. And believe me, I get it. I really get it. So I'm glad I could. Hopefully you're having breakfast. I love breakfast. Have a very good day off of work. All you guys, I'll see you guys later. I will be doing a broadcast Sunday at this time called the Creators Conclave with Darius Jana. Most people are not up at 6 o'clock in the mornings on Sundays, but of course all these live streams are taped. And if you've got a long commute or you're sitting on the shitter, just listen on in, watch or whatever, that kind of thing. So guys, thank you very much. All the rest of the stuff, war. Deadman the Storyteller says next week war. All right, sorry, somebody beat you to it. Next week is war. Seriously, we'll talk about. Oh man, war. What is his name? Dan Carlin, podcast, Hardcore History. Excellent series, man, on world wars, World War I. Countdown to Armageddon. Yeah, we're doing that. We're doing that next week. Thanks, Dead Man. Perfect. Guys, you already know if you've gotten this far into it, you already know next week's coming up. I'll put it in the upcoming whatever it is for next week. The whatever. You guys already know. Thank you very much. I'm losing my mind. I think on another Pop-Tart. I'm going to get ready for work. I will see you guys later, and thanks for the inspiration. See ya.